Welcome, PlayStation Universe. Here we are in Los Angeles covering all the games from the show floor here at E3 2016. Sitting here with Adam Byrne, who got a chance to take a look at a presentation on Mafia 3, 2K's upcoming open world game.
Yeah, so I guess we can start off with the elevator pitch. So this is set around, interestingly enough, the late 60s, just at the kind of boiling point of the Vietnam War. So you play as a character called Lincoln, who arrives back into the city of New Bordeaux, which is a fictional recreation of New Orleans.
Cool.
And disenfranchised from coming back and some familial turmoil and the fact that like jobs aren't easy to come by, rather, he turns to crime as a way to support his life.
Right. How do the graphics look? We've been treated to some impressive pre-rendered trailers so far. So
yeah, it was an interesting mix. I mean, some of the facial animations in the kind of dynamic story aspects of the trailers seemed pretty interesting, pretty good, pretty well realized. I mean, they looked pretty reminiscent of the likes of LA Noire, but like the moment-to-moment gameplay, the slices that they did show in the trailers left a little bit to be desired. I mean, they in an age of where the open world concession doesn't really apply anymore, when you have the likes of The Witcher and games of similar ilk, it just didn't seem to pop as well as it could have. It seemed a little janky in areas. Facial animations weren't great. General mechanics of holding weapons didn't seem too impressive. So serviceable, but nothing that would blow your socks
playable,
off.
but just not anything impressive. But then, how does the gameplay?
Well, I mean, you obviously have that kind of like GTA-esque, driving around and like taking up missions and stuff. There is some interesting interplay that works. I mean, given it's a Mafia title, you can take over certain areas because the whole premise of the game is effectively there is a mob boss who controls all the sectors of New Bordeaux, and you are taking it over piece by piece, pretty much, and claiming rights to the throne, effectively.
So you does the player have some freedom in which territories to to take over?
Exactly. So when having done so, and when completing an area, you have people who are underneath you. Some pretty varying characters. You have a Northern Irishman, you have an American girl, and I think the other person we had was an Italian American. And they all have different temperaments and different ways they operate and different abilities in running a certain area that you take over. So what happens is, in its most reductive form, you take over an area. You will sit down and have a meeting with, say, these 3 people who are below you, and you have to delegate to whom will take over this area and run this area. So you will have to highlight between the 3, and they'll use their persuasive arguments saying, this person on my right has 5 areas that you've given them. That's not fair. I want a piece of the action, I'm ready. And you'll have a list of stats that will say, this is how much income they'll get if they're volatile or not, like what will happen, pretty much what should transpire if you give this person this territory to run. Now, in the demo I saw, as I just mentioned there, the woman in the trailer had been given too many places to run, and she wanted more, and the Northern Irishman was refused again, even though saying, if you don't give me anything, I'm going to go. And he ended up not picking the Northern Irishman, so he stormed out and was saying that he was pretty much going to kill Lincoln, who was the main character. And then that curtailed into you having to actually find him and kill him. So it seems to transpire in that way, and it's interesting. I think that, from what we saw, is probably the most interesting mechanic at play. Because everything else seems a bit by numbers.
It seems to, because a lot of open world games have that mechanic of, hey, you do something, either beat a boss or complete a subjective, and you open up that area. It's just no longer dark on your map. And then now you have this, which the strategy and also politics.
Exactly. Politics was a big word there.
Right. Of assigning responsibilities, which territories to which people. It sounds like it could also affect the story.
That's
how
the thing.
Plays out.
And that's what is interesting, because though it was touched upon, they didn't really delve into that, and that's what's going to be most interesting, I guess, because there obviously is a linear narrative at play, and it obviously can branch to a degree with this mechanic. But I'm interested to see how far that can go, because if you have these 3 characters, which you do, in the playthrough that we did, as I mentioned, we kill one of them. and I don't know at what point that is in the game.
Yeah.
So obviously that character's not coming back for the rest of the duration of the story.
Right.
So I'm not sure how malleable that narrative can be based on your decision making.
How many branches? And
Is it an illusion of choice, or does it really affect what happens? Would he have been killed another way? Would he have lived to the end if I had so chosen to do so? So I'm not sure. There's questions being asked. I think the game overall is doing some interesting things, but I think beyond that, it's doing the simple things pretty basically. Like it's not screaming to me too much. I mean, the setting is nice. The soundtrack is impeccable.
That's good.
Creedence Clearwater Revival, some real like Vietnam music being played and stuff. So it's really interesting, and like it was
it's a period piece.
Exactly. Yeah. And like it there's variety in where you go and stuff, but just the general graphics, the kind of simple things that would make it stand out from the offset, just don't seem to be at a level that will interest people, from the get-go.
Okay, gotcha. Do you think it'll still be? So it sounds like it's still be something that fans of previous Mafia games will be.
No, absolutely. I think
wanting to check out.
Yeah, if you're at a point where you want to kind of go back into an open world and the idea of a post or even middle Vietnam era, experience and with Mafia politics at play and stuff, you'll find an interesting game here.
Sounds good. Well, that was Adam's thoughts on Mafia 3. You can check out more of our coverage, either already there and future ones, over on PlayStation Universe, PSU.com. You can keep checking back to social for all sorts of news, fun posts.
On Wilson Let's Plays.
Yes, on Wilson Let's Plays. Thanks for watching. Thank you.